Now, we come here not as conquerors, but as liberators.
Don Jr., here we go! What did you think about the Mulak worship last night with Joe Biden?
I mean, it was ridiculous, actually. I mean, it's scary. I guess what I do just for perspective for people is like, imagine Donald Trump made that speech about 75 million Democrat voters.
Yes.
You know, like, and you can be a Democrat, but like that's your conservative brother, your MAGA uncle, your MAGA dad. They are a threat to democracy. I mean, if that's not a call to violence in its subtle way, I don't know what is. I hope to God that it is not. But I mean, they are trying to weaponize whatever they can against Donald Trump, against the MAGA movement, against American first Republicans and conservatives, this sort of new conservative movement. I guess they're doing that, Benny, because, you know, this sort of old Republican movement maybe felt the same way, but they just roll over every time the Democrats push back. So the Democrats were fine with their existence. Now that they know they're not just going to, sit by and just watch these idiots destroy our country, whether it's, turning peace deals in the Middle East to war on the Eastern Front of Europe. Just the list goes on and on. The incompetency goes on and on. But if Donald Trump gave that speech, imagine what the media would do. If Donald Trump had that background for any speech, imagine what they would do. If we had a real media, they would be going nuts right now. They wouldn't be running cover desperately for a speech that looked like if Mussolini and Hitler got together and decided how to speak, in pre-World War II Europe. I mean, but like, honestly, like the imagery was exactly that. Like you could clip line by line in any one of them. I mean, you're telling me that's not something like out of the front of the Reichstag at this point? And yet, that was in front of, I guess, Independence Hall. I mean, it's a disgrace to our country, but that he could vilify that many Americans. And then, they'll go on in the same speech, talk about unity. I hate your guts. I hate your values. You are a threat to our freedom. You are a threat to our democracy. But I'm here to unify our country. I mean, that doesn't, like, come on, guys. You can't have it both ways. Now, again, our media is so broken. They're so partisan. They're such hacks. They're so far leftist that they'll do whatever they can to pretend that didn't happen. But I watched Joe Biden in that speech. And we should all call out violence against police officers, but he took a single day and said that's a disgrace while ignoring 2 years of what seemed like targeted attacks on the police under BLM Antifa, where his own vice president wanted to bail these people out. You can't have it both ways, and yet each and every day they get to have it both ways, Benny. They get to have the media run cover for them, pretend the dumb stuff that comes out of this dolt's mouth didn't actually happen, and yet it continues every day.
You've given many speeches with your father on stage. You've seen White House prepare for a speech. I mean, there's very few in the country who would be able to say, hey, I've seen how the sausage is made. I've seen how the White House prepares and advances for a speech. Is this by accident? This is like blood red?
None of this, Benny. Those things are the most choreographed, pre-scripted, pre-written.
Tell us. Unpack it for us. What happened?
He saw the speech beforehand because, honestly, he's incapable of making it through a sentence. So, if he's going to actually have to read something, even on a teleprompter after 50 years of experience, even he will have to, look at it in practice. But, this stuff wasn't written by Joe Biden. And that's what we have to make the distinction in. Joe Biden may be the fool that's dumb enough to deliver a speech like that, but whoever's really in charge, whether it's an Obama, a Valerie Jarrett, a Susan Rice, these people are crafting these words meticulously. This isn't an off-the-cuff, little error that came out the wrong way. This was something looked at with eyes by dozens of people wanting to make that decision. I think that's the difference between an Obama and a Joe Biden. I think the administrations felt the same way about the American people. I think they had the same ideas. The difference was Obama was smart enough to know that he can't just do it. He can't put themselves out there. But whoever is in charge and actually coming up with this stuff, they're more than happy to push Joe Biden under the bus. Let him deliver that message. Let him move forward, their Democrat policy. So we have to remember, this isn't Joe Biden that we're seeing. This is Democrat policy. The most powerful people in the Democrat Party, the decision makers, watched that, wrote that, choreographed that, came up with that background, the demonic possession background, and said, you know what? We're going to have Joe go out there and attempt to deliver that speech. Nothing is by accident at that level. Nothing.
We had to play a clip for you. We were talking this morning, like, if we could play one clip for Don and get his reaction to one clip, what would it be? And it would be if Joe Biden wandered off stage like 20 feet, he'd find MAGA supporters screaming, "Let's go Brandon," at him. You could hear it during the speech. For like 20 straight minutes, there was a guy going, "Let's go Brandon," during the speech.
And by the way, let's be clear, like, this didn't happen in exactly what we'd call a conservative part of the This was in Philadelphia, like, urban Philadelphia, and even they get it. And by the way, if one guy was doing it in a crowd of Democrat supporters, you'd think, like, hey, if someone was really against it, they'd shut him up or do something. Like, no. They were like, you know what, I'm with you on this one. This idiot and this vitriol, can't go on. I mean, they picked probably the most friendly place other than Washington, D.C. itself for the Democrats, and they still had people with their FJB chants. It's you can't make it up.
Here's the clip.
As preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time. Habits of the heart in our character. Optimism that is tested yet endures. Courage that digs deep when we need it. Empathy that fuels democracy.
What's your message to MAGA right now?
Listen, stand strong. I mean, you see what they're throwing up against us, right? Whether it's the FBI being weaponized against my father, my family, ultimately the guy that's sort of leading that movement, the guy that had the guts to stand up to the Democrat insanity of the last few decades, the guy that had the guts to actually stand up for a hardworking blue-collar America, the middle class. That doesn't exist in the Republican Party. There's a lot of people trying to do it, and they're trying to mimic that. Like, there was one guy that actually did it. There's one guy that they've weaponized the most powerful forces in government and in federal law enforcement against. And it's because they understand that he's the one guy that can actually deliver that against almost, I'd say, insurmountable odds. I mean, don't forget, the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, Benny, wasn't like a couple bureaucrat lawyers. Those are the people who made the decisions. They used the FBI's hostage rescue team, the HRT. Like, those are the guys that, like, take over planes when terrorists, like they don't serve warrants. I don't know that that's ever been done in the history of America. I don't know that the HRT has been mobilized on, like, U.S. soil in recent times. They're there to serve a search warrant? Like, now, I understand that the narrative 2 weeks prior to that was that Donald Trump managed to choke out, at 75 years of age, managed to choke out two young, strong, heavily armed Secret Service agents to take over the beast. Now, it turns out that wasn't actually true, or at least everyone in the United States Secret Service would testify to that. But the sham January 6th committee, another weaponized politicized force, said that it was true. They didn't want to hear the other side of the story from people who were actually there, so they take the third-party hearsay, run with that as though it's the gospel. So I understand that maybe they would need the hostage rescue team in the event that Donald Trump wanted to resist. He would probably, be able to take them out. At least that was the narrative. But that should scare all of us. All kidding aside, like, we recognize how insane that is. But, like, if you're telling me that was anything other than a threat, if you're telling me it's anything other than a show of force, like, if you dare speak out against us. I mean, it ain't just the Second Amendment that's on the table these days, Benny. If anyone's been watching, I imagine your fans understand your First Amendment. If you break from the Democrat talking points, there's no penalty for saying the most insane, vile, pro-pedophile stuff on the left. That's like makes you a hero. You are brave and strong and good. If you have if you have a conservative uncle, though, he's a threat to democracy. That's where we are today. So, if people are, like, not into this game, if they're not watching, if they're not following, if they're planning on sitting out midterms, just understand what that means, because Everything's on the table.
Thank you for watching. Our channel is here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears taste like ice cream. We ridicule the establishment, and we do so because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you liked what you saw, please click the thumbs up. Please punch, subscribe, and ring the bell to let you know when we have a new video. Don't you want us to let you know when we're live? Please check out more of our videos here and sign up for our mailing list in case something happens and the plug gets pulled. We want to be able to keep in touch with you. My name is Benny Johnson, and thank you for watching. Based Patriots, stay free.